Welcome to Vegas Live with Ninon. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show. Well, I have a fabulous guest with me. His name is David, and as you know, I don't pre-interview people, so I just asked him, what do you want to be called? He wants to be called Dave, David, whatever, so we're going to call him Dave. And also one thing else he says, I've lived all over the world, and also he says he's got a great story about Israel and Lebanon, so that should be interesting, especially what's going on in the world today. And of course, you know where we are, Vegas Live with Ninon. I'm Ninon, your host, and thank you everybody out there for supporting us. We've just won a few awards for another show I have, and so everything's going really honky-donkey. It's really cool. Everything's going great.
It's an honor to be here. I've watched you so often that it's great to finally meet you in person.
So you're one of the people.
I'm a fan!
A fan! So what am I doing wrong and what am I doing right?
Okay, there's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong.
Except for it took so long to get me here. That's the only thing.
That is a problem. You were a little slow on the uptake.
And actually, you know what? I like you better here in the studio. I saw the ones you did in the Pepper Mill a long time ago.
Yes.
And they were good, but you always had like waiters running by and bells ringing and stuff.
Yeah, so this is more concentrated.
Yeah.
Do you know, I love to hear that because sometimes in life you cannot help a direction you're going, because especially with the pandemic, especially we've got Delta now coming up, and then we've got the COVID also floating around, got all these and there's another one out apparently, and I don't know the name of that one, but apparently there's another one coming out. So I think they're just inventing all these different names just to keep us going, because if we've got one vaccine, we're going to have 2 vaccines. Now we're going to have 3 vaccines.
Well, whatever keeps you safe, though, right? You don't want.
Well, you don't want to
be in the hospital.
No, you don't. And there are people in hospital. There are.
Yeah.
Now, David,
yes?
you are an actor.
I am an actor. Yeah, I've been acting for 35 years, mostly in the theater until recently. The last 3 years or so, I've been focusing on film, especially here in Las Vegas. But for the first, since I was 15, I've been acting on stage.
So do you think you've been one of the lucky ones of being able to act on stage and do what you really want to do? Because there's so many actors out there want to be actors and they're not.
Well, the thing about, if you want to be an actor, what you have to do is you have to act. Right? I mean, that's.
Oh, I like that.
You see
Good
people,
idea.
right? I mean, you see people who are like, "Oh, I don't know if this part is right or if that group." No, you never know when your big hit, when your big break is going to happen.
No.
And so, if you want to get to that place, you've got to be in everything you can possibly be in. You're going to learn from the good people. You're going to learn from the bad people, and so that
the bad and the right and the wrong. It's all in everything.
Yeah, so that when that break happens, you're ready for it because you have the experience. You know what you're doing.
And then you have to have all these different characters.
Sure.
You have to know. You could be a busboy. You could be a lawyer. You could be a policeman. There's lots of different things. So you've got to really look at that part or research that part so you play it. Is that what you do?
Well, sometimes when you have the time to do that, you can. I had a theater company in Hollywood for a summer, and we were in Orange County, but we drive to Hollywood every weekend to do our shows. And we had our main stage show, but when that was over, we did these late night shows that we'd write ourselves. And so we did a new one every single weekend. So, but that means you have to memorize a new script in 2 days, rehearse it twice, and then jump it on stage, and then do it all over again. So you have to learn really quickly to get a character, to memorize, and that helps you with things like auditioning, everything.
What is the gimmick to learn a script, to learn something in 2 days, to learn a part in 2 days?
Yeah.
What is the trick to that?
So for me, what I do is, I used to be a teacher as well. I taught in Thailand. And I used to teach it for math, but it's for everything. Whenever you have a big problem, it's just a whole bunch of little tiny problems that if you solve the little ones, the big one takes care of itself. So when I learn my lines, I'll learn 2 lines, and then I'll learn 2 more, and then I'll learn 2 more, and then I'll go back and then I'll learn 2 more, and I'll go back and I'll learn 2 more, and 10 minutes later I've got 2 pages memorized. It's just
what a wonderful
breaking it down.
And it's memorizing it too.
Yeah.
But it's so funny, that's one of the things I teach to a lot of people is that if you've got lots of little different things you need to get done, is to do them all. Because then you've got room in your brain for the big one.
Sure.
Because if you're going clutter your brain up with all these little things. Oh, I've got to do this, and I've got to take this out, and I've got to do this, and you say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, tomorrow never comes.
No, you got to start. You got to make it happen.
You've got to make it happen. And don't you feel, after you've done it, you feel so good, don't you?
Oh, yeah, the accomplishment.
Accomplishment.
And then you feel like you can do more once you've done the first one.
Once you've done the first one, then get rid of all the others.
Yeah.
So that's really the concept.
Mm-hmm.
Of learning life. So the reason I wanted to get it out there, because you've been a successful actor, you've been all over the world, so you say, so we're going to find out about that.
So I say.
So you say. So now,
I could say anything.
you could say anywhere, but you've already been in Taiwan.
Thailand, yes.
Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
So now where else have you been?
In 1995, I drove across the United States, went to like 24 different states. I wanted to see my country before I saw the rest of the world. Then I sold my car, and I flew over to London, and I spent the next year backpacking through Europe and Asia and part of Africa. It was a great experience, and I got to be on Michael Moore's show in New York, and Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien gave me a hug with Andy Weinberg and the rest of the crew and everything. It was great. But the reason I want to talk about this Israel-Lebanon thing is because of you, and I'll tell you why in just a minute.
Why? Yeah. But interesting. Do you know I lived there?
I know. I'm going to talk to you about that. I'm going to talk to you about that.
Well, the rare people know that I was in Beirut.
I do my research too.
You sure do. Ooh.
So anyway, this probably does not happen anymore because now we have cell phones. But in 1995, they did not have cell phones.
No.
And Israel and Lebanon were still at war, technically.
Yes, they were.
And for years.
Yes.
And so I was on the border. I went to the border of the two countries.
Yes.
And
I've been there too. I know exactly where you are.
Okay, so there's like a hill on this side, and that's sort of a minefield.
Yeah,
a minefield.
But there's greenery around.
Yeah, but it's a no man's land.
Yes,
There's
nothing around. Nothing.
Nothing. And so you'd have families who used to, like brother and sister 20 years ago, when the war started, they happened to be on the two opposite hills, and now they can't see each other, so they'd go to the sides of the hill and they'd like say hello and talk about family news.
Yes.
Because they didn't have mail, they didn't have phones, there was no other way to communicate. So it was just a very bizarre and interesting, terrible really, but very interesting. And the reason is because you are such an interesting person. And so I wanted to learn about you, and I found out you're from England, and you're an actress and a model, and you do all kinds of things with charity. But the one I wanted to ask you about, it said you were part of an underwater swimming act in Beirut. What is that exactly?
Well, this guy, Charlie Henches, had a show called May We.
Okay.
He was a Russian Jew, and he was in London, and he was looking for this underwater swimmer. Uh-huh. Now, I was a model and did film work, and I was not an underwater swimmer. Okay. And all these other people, so I go for this audition. Now, I go to the audition, I'm all dressed up like this, and I've got, the hair done, everything's all perfect and everything else. And he goes, well, look at me, well, he likes me. Forget the underwater swimming thing. So when we had chit-chat, and then there's all these other people that are really underwater swimmers, but they look like underwater, so they're all, the long hair, no makeup and everything. I've got full makeup on, I've got everything going on. Right. So I go in and I bought this new bikini. I'd never worn a bikini before, so I put this bikini on, and it was really pretty. And and I watched now he disappeared, but I knew from my intelligence where he had gone. He'd gone underneath the swimming pool to watch how the people looked that were doing the audition from the poolside.
This is kind of like an Esther Williams?
This is not this is an underwater thing.
Okay.
So he goes downstairs and he watches because you have to swim and do your acrobatics underwater. Mm-hmm. So they all go in. I don't know what they do, but at least I watched how they dived into the water. I had no idea what to do. Yeah, so I could have done. I didn't really do a belly flop. It wasn't really.
That wouldn't be what they'd be going for.
No, they wouldn't be going for a belly flop. But I did do the best. But I knew where he was. Uh-huh. So when I dived in, and I went and I put my arms out and I gave this big smile.
Uh-huh. Right to the camera.
Right to the camera, which was right to him, because that's where he was. Mm-hmm. So afterwards, we all got dressed, and so I come up, I'm all dressed up. I've got this hairpiece that I put on. Everything's perfect, and I look like I've never touched the water, so he quite liked this.
Yeah.
Because I was used to this as a model.
Right.
He chooses me to do this act. So then I have to find out what it is. It's in, if anybody knows what a nargile is, these jars that you have, you smoke them.
Okay. The hookahs?
The hookahs. Anyway, so we have one of these, It's round. It was 4.5 feet by 4.5 feet. Well, I'm 5'6".
Yeah.
So this is that big, and there's the little guy on top. He's pretending he's popping away with it, and
Right.
I am doing this underwater swimming act in this bowl that's full of water. It's got little scallops all around the top, so it looks as if I never breathe.
Oh, okay.
So, but I had to, when I came round and I came up, and when I came up, I had this much room to let my lips come out, take air, and go back down again. And that's and I learned. I was taught in London. He actually paid to get me taught in London to do this act for 6 months. Then went to Paris. And then I took a train to Paris or Switzerland, I don't know. Anyway, I ended up in Paris, and then from Paris we went to Beirut, and I did that for 2 years.
Was this in nightclubs or where?
No, this was in the Casino de Lebanon.
Oh.
It was the biggest. There was
in the
big,
pool, in the pool area.
No. This was a show. This was like a show on the Strip.
Oh, wow.
This was just one of the acts. This was one of the acts that came out. This bowl was rolled out, and there was a whole scene of sort of all this sort of Middle Eastern
How many
stuff.
people were in the water with you? Just you alone? Wow.
Only me, because don't forget it's only 4.5 feet by
Yeah,
4.5 feet,
right.
so it's very
Yeah.
tiny. And it was only me, and I did that for. I'll put it up on Facebook.
That would be great. I bet your audience would love to see that.
Well,
You should do
yes.
that again.
You're not gonna- 2 years was enough.
You're all wet enough for
Oh
that.
yeah,
okay.
because I think it was twice on Saturday, and it was I think Sunday was black. But anyway.
living in Beirut
Living
for
in
a while.
Beirut,
and
I also
travel.
became I also became quite a star there, because I used to do a lot of modeling there. I did a
Right.
lot of photography there. I did a lot of stuff there. Everybody knew me there,
Sure.
but also I had my own act. So it was my own single act.
That's
and it
amazing.
was-
See, interesting life here. Super interesting.
That's just one of the things.
Yeah, no, I know. You should read up. You can find it. Google her. It's amazing.
yeah, there you go. You Google Ninon.
That's what I did.
Yeah, Google Ninon de Verderosa, and you get all these pages. I'm like embarrassed. Like, did I really do all that? And yet you're funny. You can tell your whole life story within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the sad part.
Yeah.
It took all these years.
I bet it would take you longer than that. There's a lot.
Yes,
of
well,
me too. I mean, we've both
writing
done a lot
book.
of stuff.
So that's why you wanted to ask about Beirut and Lebanon.
Yeah,
Now
because
know why.
because I heard.
So
I
let's
read about
get
you.
back
It's
to
good.
you.
Okay, back to me.
So now, what are you doing now?
So I've like I said, I'm really focusing more on film work now.
Yes.
So now with the pandemic, there was a year where we kind of lost it,
yes.
but I've done 3 films with Joe Espinoza, who you had on your show before.
Correct. Yes.
I just finished a film called Dirty Little Secret with the Peoples, Bobby and Renee Peoples,
Yes,
who you had on
also
recently.
as well. Yes.
So that'll be coming out next year. That's a feature film.
Fabulous.
And I just finished Junkie Warrior with Kay Rock and Roll Brown, who you just had on your show.
That's all of my show.
I know.
It's amazing. I love it.
You've got to see Ninon. She's great. So, and then so I did those 2 are coming out soon, and I'm going to be working on Songbird, which is a SAG film in Reno next month in
I've
October.
heard about that film.
Yeah.
Coming out. I don't know much about it.
I'm going to be in that one, and then I'm going to do Angel on the Roadside, which is Chaplain Dow's film for Vegas Lucky Seven's Film Challenge.
Oh yeah,
so
I
we're
heard
doing that.
Yes,
so we're doing that
she's
next
lovely.
first week of
I've
September.
had her on my show too,
Have
many
you?
times. Oh,
Everybody.
Many
Yeah.
times,
It's
yes.
like why I'm the
Tamia.
last one. The last one.
Tamia. No, you're not the last one. We're still going. We're still getting them all on.
Yeah, Tamia is her name,
Yes,
right?
Tamia.
She goes
Yes.
by Chaplain for the Facebook and
Yes,
everything.
yes, she does.
Yeah. So I'm getting real busy now, getting everything done. I want people to sort of see me and know me and again, it's that thing where just do everything, because when I did Junkie Warrior, I was just going to be an extra in that scene. And she sent me the scene. It was for a Narcotics Anonymous meeting.
Okay.
And I read the scene, and it was the whole meeting was only going to last like 90 seconds. It was like 4 people said one thing. And I wrote to her and I said, Kay, I understand I'm just an extra, so if you want me to butt out, I will butt out. But reading the scene, the meeting is not long enough, because unless you're going to do fancy time lapse things with the camera, why would people go to a meeting that's only 90 seconds? She said, you know what, you're right. I'm going to write you some lines. And by the time we shot it, I had a whole monologue. So now I have like a decent part in it.
But you actually introduced it without introducing it. You actually you gave her a leg out. You said, well, you can take me out or whatever you want to do, but I would suggest this. That was a good idea, because a lot of people don't like suggestions, as you very well know.
Yeah.
They write a script and they want it that way.
I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but like I've written a lot of shows my own self, and if somebody wants to give me an idea that I can use,
You'll listen to it.
Great. I mean, if
See,
I can make it
listen
better.
all the time. I love to listen.
If you can make it better.
Yeah, I think if you could make something better, or they've got a better idea, why not? You know?
Yeah. So I'm doing the scene for the Junkie Warrior with Kay, and who happens to be in the cast but Renee Peoples. So she sees me, and now she knows who I am, and then I get cast in their movie.
Then you get so the more you're seen out there, the more you do. Even if you start out as an extra, I know nobody wants to be an extra, and then they don't like that scene. I've done extra work. Come on, when I was way back, I did extra work.
Sure.
But I don't do any filming now because I'm too busy with everything else I'm doing.
Well, sometimes it can be fun though. I did. There was a film that was out in the theaters here at South Point, the theaters there,
yes,
called Stealing Chaplin, which was a real movie, and I was just an extra, but I got paid like $200, and it was a strip club scene, and I got a lap dance for an hour. So getting paid to have a lap dance, that's much better than being in a cubicle, right?
That must be a man's dream.
That was a good day. That was not a bad day.
I don't know how. I don't know about all those things, but yes, I do hear about them. I'm not that innocent. But that was exciting.
Yeah, it was a professional job and just a lot of fun, though. Right?
I can't wait for them to get another scene.
No, I'm waiting for the sequel. Who are you going to steal next? I'm there.
And you got paid for it.
I got paid for it.
Well, that's even funnier.
That's the best. Usually, Usually you pay, right? But not that I've ever done that or anything, but. Well,
oh really?
Well, I did live in Thailand for 7 years, so
So we won't say any more about that.
My wife is Thai, so.
Your wife is Thai.
And I have a 16-year-old daughter now with her.
Oh, how wonderful!
Yeah.
Wonderful. So you've got everything going for you.
Yeah,
you're getting back into the movie business. Do you do any other work?
Not right now. I'm really focused on what I'm doing with this and seeing if it'll take me somewhere. And
yes.
And then we'll see.
And you are a character player, obviously,
mm-hmm.
And so you live your part, you do your part. And you like your part.
Yeah, sure.
And I think when you walk into a room of liking what you do, I think you're halfway there.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's so exciting,
And you enjoy
the
it
people
so
you
much.
meet and the chance to make new characters. Yeah, it's great.
How can anybody reach you?
Oh, well, I'm on Facebook, David Amitin, Amitin. Instagram it's still me, Dave, and then I'm on the IMDb site. So if you want to see my reel or my resume, all that kind of stuff, you can find me there.
Everything's all there. Absolutely amazing. Well, Dave, you've been amazing and an inspiration of the number one. He watches me all the time. And number two, to ask me about Beirut, because that was one of I guess my highlights of my career, or whatever you want to call it. But living in Beirut was an experience of its own.
It's one of those things that nobody does.
Yeah, but not really, because it's being blonde and blue-eyed, and they're all very dark over there, and sort of so the time I had. Though I had 2 boyfriends there because I was there 2 years, so got rid of one and got the other one, and so But I've never been one for running around anyway. Mm-hmm. But yes, it was a great experience, and thank you for acknowledging it and looking at it. Absolutely amazing, sure. Dave. And don't forget to go to Vegas Live with Ninon to YouTube and subscribe. And anybody who wants to be on the show, you get in touch with Quirky Minds Media and the producer there, James Kelly. You can come on the show. There's a lot of people out there that are a little bit shy on coming on the show, but we're very open.
Yeah, she doesn't bite or anything.
No,
so
I don't hurt anybody. Thank you,
Not
Dave.
yet, anyway.
Thank you for tuning in. Take care.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome.